When it comes to micro-brand watches, Zelos sits among the best, and rightfully so, as their watches deliver in every single way. My experience with the brand is limited to the Hammerhead 3 collection. I first reviewed the Frost dial in steel, then I had the chance to check it out in bronze, and now I've got this beautiful grey-blue dial in titanium. Welcome to the Bold Hairspring, my name is Ivan, and as always, I'm back with another watch review. The Zelos Hammerhead 3 Titanium models are about to become available for purchase, and I'm sure most of the models will be sold out shortly after the countdown timer hits 0. The reason for this is quite obvious. In exchange for your money, you're getting a mean-looking watch with some very nice specs. So, if by the end of this video you become interested in getting one, I strongly recommend you prepare yourself to act quickly. When I review a new watch, one of the first things I show you is usually the packaging. And guys, in this case, you really have to see it. The Zelos Hammerhead 3 arrives in a very nice 3-slot leather case, and in my opinion, this is the most practical packaging a brand can come up with. I already have 2 similar watch rails, and I use them all the time for storing and for transporting my watches as well. The quality is decent and the space has been well thought out so that you can fit some large models like the Hammerhead. As always, I'm going to walk you through the dimensions now. In comparison to the previous Hammerhead 3 releases, those haven't changed much, except for the weight of course. The case diameter is still 44mm, and as I said in the bronze model video, it may appear slightly larger on the wrist due to the case having a squarish design. The wearability is great though, as the lug-to-lug is 49mm, while the thickness of the case is only 13.5. However, if we add the crystal to the equation, it comes at 14.7. But guys, don't let the dimensions fool you, because the Hammerhead 3 is extremely wearable. On my 17cm or 6.7 inch wrist, it wears great, it's very comfortable, and it certainly has a lot of presence. You know, I could even wear it daily since it weighs only 151 grams. Keep in mind that the same watch in steel weighs over 200 grams, so by using titanium, Zelos have been able to significantly reduce the total weight of this model. Since I've just mentioned the wearability, I would like to talk about the bracelet first, as there is one important change that's been done here, and that is the clasp. Just like before, it comes with a micro adjustment on the fly, but this time the clasp is very similar in terms of design and functionality to my Omega Planet Ocean, and it works like a charm. You know, the temperatures in Spain are starting to rise, and being able to adjust the fit in a matter of seconds is a really great feature to have. Other than that, the bracelet is essentially the same as the one on the stainless steel model, but made of titanium, and that's why it has a slightly darker tone. It's 22mm at the lugs and it fits the case perfectly, all the links are solid and the finishing is excellent. The whole bracelet, as well as the case, is vertically brushed, and considering that titanium is a more difficult metal to work with than steel, Zelos have done a great job. On top of that, they've gone the extra mile and have coated both the bracelet and the case with a scratch-resistant coating with a Vickers rating of 1200, which is actually quite high. To give you an idea, regular steel has a hardness rating of just about 200 Vickers, while Seiko's DiaShield coating goes up to 650. What this means in real-life scenarios is that getting micro scratches from daily wear should be way more difficult than it usually is. The case, as I just said, benefits from the same hardened coating, and here you can have a closer look at it. Design-wise, no changes have been made and I'm totally fine with it, as I love it the way it is. It's a cushion-shaped design with angular flanks. On the right side, positioned at 4 o'clock, is the oversized screwed-in crown, which together with a deeply embossed screwed-in case back deliver water resistance of 300 meters. When it comes to the finishing, once again, it's vertically brushed except for the mid-case, which is bead blasted and it looks very nice. So guys, overall this is one very well built and very well finished watch. Next, let's have a closer look at the dial, and here I really want to point out that while some of the other Hammerhead 3 models impress with more unusual patterns and materials, This one impresses with its simplicity. The color is light blue, but depending on the light conditions, especially outdoors, it looks very close to grey. Then the applied indices and the hands are outlined in black, which adds a lot of contrast, which results in greater legibility. You will also be happy to hear that everything looks very sharp. The date at 6 o'clock has a matching color date wheel, and overall, everything looks very symmetrical and well aligned. Speaking of alignment, let's check the bezel. It offers plenty of grip, and you actually need it because it's a bit stiff. However, that's not a bad thing. The action is literally very solid, and these are probably the loudest 120 clicks I've ever experienced on a watch. And as I've already hinted, it lines up perfectly. Now, another great feature of Zelos watches that you might be familiar with is the Lume application. I don't know how many layers they've gone for, but it's mind-blowing. It's mostly Super Luminova C3, but there is a bit of BGW9 on the bezel and on the mini track, and it remains visible through the whole night. Even next to my Seiko Marine Master SOA 023, it holds up just great, maybe even better. Finally, the crown is also lumed, which has kind of become Zelos' signature. Moving on to the movement, I guess you won't be surprised that under the case back there is a Seiko NH35 ticking, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with its specs, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. I'll just say that this watch in particular, dive up, it runs spot on, 0 seconds per day. For how long or how consistently it's going to maintain this accuracy, I've no idea, but I'm truly impressed. The beat error is also insanely low, 0.1 milliseconds. Guys, I had a look at one of my very first videos the other day and it was painful. But while watching it, I noticed that I used to include some size comparisons, and I think I shouldn't have stopped, because with brands like Zelos, you don't really have the chance of seeing the watch before you purchase it. So here it is next to an Oris Aquis with a case diameter of 43.5. The Zelos appears bigger due to its angular design, but then it has a shorter lug-to-lug by 1 mm. So if you can pull off the Aquis, then don't worry about the Zelos dimensions at all, as the wearability is kind of similar. And here it is next to a Citizen Pro Master 42mm with a lug-to-lug of 47. Looking at both watches side by side, the Zelos looks like it's just finished its steroid cycle. But on the wrist, both wear very nicely, and the weight difference between the two is just 5 grams. Finally, I would like to compare it to something more common, even though it's significantly smaller, the Sarp 017. Its case diameter is 39.5 and it has a lug-to-lug of 46.4mm, which is 2.5mm shorter than the Zelos. So if you're used to wearing watches around the 40mm mark, this comparison should give you an idea of what to expect if you get the Zelos. Next, let me give you my final thoughts, and guys, I honestly think that the Zelos Hammerhead TI is an amazing watch for the money. It combines great design with great build quality in a scratch-resistant titanium case. The only negative is that some of the colorways might be difficult to get, as they'll probably get sold out in a matter of minutes. This is the end of today's video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Let me know in the comments below what's your take on Zelos watches, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next one.